You are now listening to the most electrified and vilified podcast on the net, Hot Topics Podcast. Let's get this party started. Welcome, everybody, to the Hot Topics Podcast. I'm your host, Psycho4081. And this is going to be our first podcast without my two co-hosts, Thelonious Feather and Lamb Chop. So it's probably going to be a brief one, but we're going to talk about some things. And it's the holiday season. So first of all, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. We should be back before the new year. But I want you guys to all enjoy yourselves and, above all, just be safe. So, Lamb Chop, she's feeling a little under the weather today. So I hope she has a nice and quick recovery. Thelonious, she's doing what she does. The woman's always busy. So I'm always going to say that she's probably at somebody's party. But needless to say, I'm here dolo today. So we have a few things we're going to talk about. Mostly some crazy stuff that I picked up from the news or online. And if you hear that whizzing behind me in the background, that is because it is cold outside. Today is the 23rd of December. It's a Monday night and it's cold. It's below freezing outside. So you guys stay warm. Whatever you do, make sure you keep that water dripping so you don't have any broken pipes. And again, just stay warm, be safe. So you'll hear it kick on every once in a while because, it's cold. And that's one of the things I always said. If I never saw winter again, I would be quite okay with that. I am not a fan of winter. I'm not a fan of snow. It's just not me. So if I could find me a place that, anywhere that stays between 60 degrees and 85 or 65 to 85, that is a perfect place. So if anybody out there knows of a place that gets that or stays in that the temperature range, let me know, because I'll be on the first thing smoking. So first thing I want to talk about is is a tragedy. I shouldn't even laugh, but it's a tragedy. But I'm gonna play that and talk about it real quick. It's I don't know what it is these days, but people seem to have no respect for life. They don't seem to have a respect for, the elders. Just craziness, pure craziness going on. And this is one of the examples. And like I said, I pull a lot of these things off of social media. So take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, all right, take a listen to this.
18-year-old Brooklyn Sims, who was working at a local Home Depot. She had a 2-year-old daughter with this man, 20-year-old Keith Agee. Keith got a phone call from his doctor telling him he had an STD just days after being intimate with Brooklyn.
I've never been so mad in my life.
Which made him so mad, he immediately left his job and drove 90 minutes to the Home Depot store where Brooklyn was working. Keith entered the store, confronted her about the STD, and became enraged when she turned her back and began to walk away from him. And that's when he shot her 7 times in aisle 52 of the store. Even more disturbing, his mom also worked at the Home Depot and was Brooklyn's manager, and texted her son that if he didn't kill Brooklyn, he was a bitch. It was later revealed in court that Brooklyn didn't even have an STD. He was charged with premeditated murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Keith's mom was also charged with Brooklyn's murder.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack, but this man's going to spend the rest of his life in prison over something that wasn't even true. And the mother, who basically called him a beep beep for being soft and not handling his business, was actually the manager of the store that she worked in. So there's some problems with that. One, what kind of parent are you that you would actually encourage your kid, no matter how old they are? What kind of person would you be to encourage your kid to do something that would ruin his life forever and somebody else's? That's problem number one. Problem number two is you addressed this young lady about an STD that, she allegedly gave you, and then come to find out that she didn't even have an STD, which means you was out there playing around on her, or, being loose with other people. That's problem number two. And I'm gonna say this for the men, it's, we can give, but it's always harder to take. So that's definitely not an excuse, but just, some of the shenanigans that are going on. Where are we as a people when we just have a low value for life? This man shot and killed this woman over an STD that most likely could have been cured. You might have been embarrassed a little bit about it or whatever, but you could get over that. You have your life. But instead you went and ruined somebody else's life. That's where we are. And it seemed like every episode we're talking about something that happened where somebody's life is lost, or, some egregious display of disrespect. So, and I'm going to say this to basically, my community that I've, was brought up in and lived in and, worked in. We need to take care of that. We need to, encourage one another to be more positive, to be more helpful, to be more forgiving. We're quick to forgive everybody else for certain things, but not even our neighbors or people who look like us. So that is definitely a problem. And men, that's going to be a whole different episode. We're going to talk about the I guess I'm going to say hypocrisy. We're going to talk about the double standards. And I know we touched on that before, maybe a few episodes, but we're going to have an entire episode based on the double standards between men and women and why we have them. So, I just wanted to bring that first one out because, it just seems like, here we are, 2024, here in the good old America. We just, we elected a convicted felon for president-elect. Somebody who's found responsible for rapes and more allegation. Somebody who was convicted for basically a fraud in his business dealings. And it goes on and on and on. So it's, one day we're going to have to wake up and say, you know what, let's sometimes you just want to just shake the out of America, but it is what it is. And, one day we'll wake up, hopefully before it's too late. So with that said, we're going to go into some of the things I found I thought was interesting, as since we're talking about Donald Trump. Now, as you all know, he's been going through this trial that was basically postponed or put on a shelf just because he's the president, which that's another thing I think we should address. But down in Georgia, he was fighting to get the prosecutor disqualified from prosecuting the case. Now, why? Because she had a personal relationship with the one of the other prosecutors. Why does that matter? I don't think it does, and I know the judge in their reading said I guess it's an extraordinary case, but I don't see how, the prosecutor is having a intimate relationship with one of the prosecutors, and she assigns that prosecutor to the case. If anybody could, have a different idea of why that happened, let me know. I don't know. Because basically you're going on the evidence, and whether somebody's sleeping with another person, that has nothing to do with the evidence that's being presented. So if I just think that they've been allowing this guy to go for so long with no accountability and basically not even getting a slap on the wrist. I know he's being, what's that one, up in New York. She has that case where he was found, what was it, $430 something million, and he's still trying to fight that to say that he should have some immunity or something along those lines. It's ridiculous. But anyway, going into the thing with in Georgia, the prosecutor's, her name is Fani Willis. So a Georgia appellate court disqualified the Fulton County District Attorney, Fani Willis, and removed her from prosecuting Donald Trump and co-defendants. And the co-defendants. Okay. So basically, let me put this up real quick. The decision is likely to cripple the case and bring a halt to the efforts to try Trump and his allies for their efforts to overturn his loss. Even though he won re-election, you still committed crimes, and you should be held accountable for it. So federal prosecutors have already dropped the other criminal case related to the 2020 election in the wake of Trump winning the 2024 election. And just to let you know, this is where the fix is in. Trump wins the presidency. The DOJ, the Department of Justice, has a policy. It's not a law. It's an opinion that a sitting president could not be charged with a crime. Ridiculous. It's not a law. It's an opinion. So basically, the special prosecutor decides to, basically put the cases on the shelf. Now, here's the little caveat to that. It can be picked up again after he is out of office. So it is open to that. Now, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if, for pressure or some type of, what do you call it, a compromise of some sort, some type of agreement that he gets pardoned. But they can pick it up. Now, mind you, that's 4 years. Dude is like 78 years old. Now, they're going to after 4 years, we're going to pick up an old case that should have been prosecuted back in 2020. They're going to prosecute it 8 years later and go after an 82 or 83-year-old man. Okay, so if you ask me, that is one of the biggest miscarriages of justice. That is for sure one of the big miscarriages of justice. So, this is what the judge said. After carefully considering the trial court's findings in its order, we conclude that it erred by failing to disqualify District Attorney Willis in her office. And they were referring to an earlier ruling that allowed her to remain on the case, which I thought was the, correct thing. She says Willis had been under scrutiny over her relationship with a special prosecutor on the case, Nathan Wade. The court said that the previous ruling by Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, who allowed her to remain on the case as long as Wade left. Now, see, that was the thing. He said, well, if he leaves, then she can stay, which, it will prevent the appearance of impropriety, right? Okay. So this judge says the remedy crafted by the trial court to prevent an ongoing appearance of impropriety did nothing to address the appearance of impropriety that existed at times when District Attorney Willis was exercising her broad pre-trial discretion about who to prosecute and what charges to bring. Now, okay, her discretion on what does that have to do with her appointing a special prosecutor and having them investigate and gather evidence to prosecute anybody? That doesn't even make sense to me. She says, while we recognize that an appearance of impropriety generally is not enough to support disqualification, this is the rare case in which disqualification is mandated, and no other remedy will suffice to restore public confidence in the integrity of these proceedings. So basically, it was I guess they were scared about what MAGA would say. They're already saying that he's, all the states are jumping on Trump, trying to prosecute Trump out of nothing, just political. Nothing's ever Trump's fault. Nothing's ever, Trump. I guess he's the authority on everything. So everybody's lying except for Trump. The election was illegal because Trump said it was illegal. There's not a shred of evidence to support it, but because he said it, And even before the election actually happened, they asked him, was he going to go quietly? And he wouldn't answer it then. So something like that was already planned, and you have electors from the different states that tried to, fraudulently switch over the votes. So how are you going to even allow somebody who's named as co-conspirator number one in 3 or 4 states to take the office of the highest office of the land? Doesn't make sense. And I don't know who appointed this judge, and I don't know if it can go above this judge. But that remains to be seen. But I kind of knew it when they were trying to do that whole immunity thing, that the fix was in, because to me it was ridiculous. That why would somebody have immunity for crimes? So whatever. You guys, let me know what you think about that, because I think it's just plain nonsense. So here's another one. Rickey Henderson, sad to say, dies at age 65. And anybody who doesn't know who Rickey Henderson is, so when I was a kid, Rickey Henderson played for, I believe, what was it, the Oakland A's, and he played with the Yankees also. And this guy was a elite. He was an elite base stealer, right? So 10-time MLB All-Star. He was an outfielder. And I think he still holds the record for most bases stolen. So let's say the Hall of Famer had an impressive 25-year playing career that I did not know, including memorable stints with the Athletics and the Yankees. I definitely remember him with the Yankees because, that's my team. So he won the World Series in 89 and also in 93 with Toronto. He was named the American League MVP in 1990 with the A's and later became a first ballot Hall of Famer and inducted in 2009. So he does still hold the record for career stolen bases, which is 1,406, and holds the record for career runs that I didn't know either, with 2,295, and single season stolen bases with 130. Wow. Okay, that's power. So that's Rickey Henderson. 65 is kind of young. But, I guess we've been losing legends every week, it seems. So rest in power to Rickey Henderson, and my condolences go out to friends and family and fans of this great sports personality. So if like I said, I'm an older guy, so if you guys don't know who Rickey Henderson is, look him up. Go to YouTube and definitely look at the amazing abilities. He struck fear in the other team because they knew he was going to get to that second base. So check it out. And other news, I feel like I should stop bringing all this bad news, because always bad news. But bad news always gets the air, right? So continue with the bad news. In the name of craziness, suspect was charged with murder, arson for allegedly setting woman on fire and killing her on a New York City subway car. Imagine that. I mean, we was talking about no respect for life and all this type of stuff. Now, here's a perfect example. Somebody who does this, I think, is more or less a matter of, of mental illness, because there's no normal person that would go as far as setting somebody on fire, to kill them. That's just pure craziness. So anyway, the guy's a 33-year-old man. He was charged on Monday for that. Let's see. He's identified as Sebastian Zapata Khalil, 33-year-old Guatemalan citizen who entered the U.S. unlawfully sometime in the past 6 years. He approached a woman without saying a word to her and ignited her clothes, engulfing her in flames in a matter of seconds. So they do have some surveillance and it shows him sitting on a bench watching the woman burn as the police officers responded. So that's super crazy. Now here's this guy who's from another country. Now, if I can recall, he was caught, sent back, and must have snuck back in. So the anti-immigrant people are going to lose their minds over this one. So he's been charged with first and second degree murder, first degree arson, and I think they're going to drop the hammer on this guy right here, because one, he should not be in the country, and two, he did this, despicable crime. So, and I wonder if the mental disorder thing will come in, but either way, it's craziness, 100% craziness. So, being the bearer of more bad news, we're gonna break for a commercial first, and I'm going to give you guys some more depressing news when we come back. And we're back from our commercial break with some more bad news. And I really, really hate to be the bearer of bad news, especially during the holiday time. You're supposed to be all cheerful and festive. But, like I said, those are the things that make the news. I'm going to throw in some happiness before we, get off the air today. But, for all of the 60s babies, and the 70s babies, sad to announce that Alpha Anderson, a lead singer of Chic, dies at 78. So if you guys don't know, Chic was one of the dominant disco groups from the 70s, and they are responsible for hits like some of the hits that from some of your hip hop versions, like what was that, Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight, but they're Good Times, which was one of my favorites, and The Freak, the one that says freak out, dum 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 dum, freak out, right? So yeah, she was 78. That's crazy. 78. That's when you're getting old. So anyway, she joined the band back in 1977 and stayed a member until it disbanded in 1983. And she performed with other groups throughout the 80s and 90s until, again, she reunited with Chic back in, 2015. They came out with another single. But I think, if I can recall, there's only two remaining members left. One is one of probably the most famous was Nile Rodgers. He's still there. He confirmed the news of her death by writing on Instagram, "Thank you for everything," along with a slideshow of photos of them two, saying R.I.P. Alpha Anderson. So, we don't know the cause of death, so they didn't share that. But again, R.I.P. And I might even play some Chic later on tonight. Just to remember her and her accomplishments to American music and actually to the world, because that music went throughout the world. So, that's the end of the bad news we have, right? But we're gonna go on to some other things. Last we were talking about, I'm just going to give you an idea of some things that's coming up. We have one on immigration, and which is fitting because we just have an incident we just mentioned where the guy set somebody on fire, obviously, and he wasn't supposed to be here. So that's gonna probably set the head moron off, if he ever gets a hold of that. So we also want to talk about, you see how all these things are related? We want to talk about felons. Should felons be allowed to take sensitive jobs, right? Since we have a felon that's going to be the next president. Should they be discriminated against when it comes to employment, voting, and all types of things like that? So we're going to talk about that. And we have, what was it? We wanted to talk about always relationship type topics where it's not my child. Situations where one parent finds out that the child is not theirs. So I think that'll be a good one. We also have some events coming up, mainly the one on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. We're going to have a wine and pasta event in Randallstown, Maryland. So you can go to our website. And if you don't know what that website is, it's www.hottopicspodcast.com. And that's hot, TOPIX, podcast.com. That's a topics with an X, not a C. That's with an X. So go there and then hit up our link on the events, and you'll see us. You'll see the events that we have planned. We'll be adding more on as we go, throughout the year. But come on out. It's going to be a fun event. 3 different pasta entrees. There's going to be, I think it was a Cajun vegetable pasta. There's going to be a shrimp Alfredo pasta, and then there was a jerk. What's the other one? Jerk chicken. No, jerk. One of those combos. Look, it's on there. All the information's on there. So it was a meat. It was a meat. Oh, seafood. Oh, so it was chicken. So it was Cajun chicken, jerk veggie, and shrimp Alfredo. Okay, I got it. All right. One thing I didn't mess up was the shrimp Alfredo, because that is one of my most favorite dishes they have over there. And it's going to be at Myrie's Island Kitchen. That's in Randallstown. I think it's 9828 Liberty Road. Right before you get to Marriottsville Road and Liberty Road. Just pop in there and check out that menu. They do catering as well. So check it out. I guarantee you will not be dissatisfied. Like I said, my favorites are the shrimp pasta Alfredo. The jerk chicken is really good. The curry shrimp pasta is good. They probably make some of the best plantains and the peas and rice that goes along with those entrees. So check it out. In our event, we're going to have some salad and obviously beverages and different types of wine. So come on out. We're going to have some fun, and we'll also do a podcast while we're there and, act up. So, when people start drinking, what happens. People start acting up, and those are the best moments. So come on out. Again, we have a monthly contest that we have for people who actually listen to the podcast. So if you're listening to the podcast, every episode we give a word or phrase of the day, something, a key that's going to tell you that's going to tell us that this person listened to the podcast. And all you have to do is send it in through our email, which is hottopicspodcast@gmail.com. And the first one that comes in with all the keywords from the episodes of the month will win our monthly prize. Now, the monthly prize can be anything from a pizza to, juice, something from one of our local restaurants. We support the Purple Flip Pizza City in Gwen Oak, Purple Flip that's in Owings Mills. So, they were gracious enough to put our posters up in their store. And we'll get out to add more partnerships with our local businesses and, give out some of these prizes. So you guys don't be shy and call it in. Don't call it in because we won't answer the phone, but hit us up on the email and with these keywords of the day. So anything else? Let me see. I'm going to give you some warnings that, like I said, stay warm. Don't drive like idiots out there, because that's what we're noticing a lot now. People are driving like idiots. Get your tickets early for our February 14th thing. You can buy the tickets online, and you can choose your seat. So for those who actually bought tickets prior, before we, postponed it to different dates, we're going to give you an extra free seat. So email us, let us know if you need an extra seat. That's going to be on us for your patience and stuff like that. And you guys, please say, give Lamb Chop a happy birthday. Her birthday was on the 17th of December, and sad to say she was unable to really celebrate it, but happy birthday. And mine is coming up next month. So I'm taking Cash App. I'm taking mail-ins, whatever it is, gift cards. Yes, you can start a GoFundMe for my birthday. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I'm taking whatever donations. So, for those who are following us, I know we have Angie out in the country of Zambia. Angie has been following us, and I know we have God, I forgot the name already. Oh my God. Anyway, we have some of our loyal followers. Angie follows us, and she's way over there in Zambia, which is the southern part of Africa. And she listens to every episode. And she was actually one of our first winners, and I think she won like three months in a row. So we were trying to give out some comedy show tickets. But in a case where they don't have comedy shows where they are, or we can't arrange it, we'll give them the cash value of the ticket. So if you guys, I think with coming up in 2025, what we'll probably end up doing, we're going to try to partner with some of the comedy show venues across the country. So that means that if you follow us and you do get those the words of the day from the different episodes, and you win, you're going to get comedy show tickets for a show in your area. I said we're going to reach out to every city in the continental United States, maybe even Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and Alaska. So stay tuned, keep listening, give us some feedback. You can get into our website online and talk about any of the topics that we discussed, and just give us some feedback. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and we'll go from there. So this is definitely a short episode because I don't have my two compadres here with me to act up. So I actually have to be the adult today. You know how I don't like that. I do not like being the adult in the room. But yeah, you guys catch us for the next episode. And again, have a wonderful, happy, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Eat like there's no tomorrow, and above all, be thankful. So, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, family, for listening to the latest episode of Hot Topics. As usual, listen, like, share, subscribe.
I represent, this is what I do.